Hey guys, welcome to Technical. Not sure if you can hear it in the background because I have this microphone configured to be unidirectional, but that noise, that whirring sound in the background sounds like an AMD stock cooler. That's the Shitbox running, and that means we're going to run down another 5 games today on the system and see how they perform. For those of you who are new to the series, I am going to post the specifications of the system on the screen now. You can pause and take a detailed look if you like, but the bottom line is this system is shit. And the purpose of this series is to see whether or not modern games will run on shit. Let's get to our first game shown in the shit frame, Divinity Original Sin. This, of course, is the Enhanced Edition, which includes support for controllers and local co-op, a rarity in modern CRPG titles for sure, and it's precisely the reason Kate and I played it through 95% of the way. Now, why did we quit? Frankly, Kate had a bad habit of falling asleep during play, and we just kind of quit right before we ventured into the final dungeon. She insisted she thoroughly enjoyed the game, but its lax pace and turn-based nature left her millennial brain a little bit understimulated, I suspect. This doesn't really say much about the quality of the game, but more about the genre in general. If you don't like games with a rich, involving story, and you need something with a little bit more action and instant gratification, like a hack and slash, this might not be for you. Anyhow, on medium settings, the game maintained a frame rate of 60 to 80 all over the map, no matter where I went. The turn-based nature of this game lends itself to things like VSync to cut down on screen tearing, which would be highly recommended that considered. Otherwise, there are absolutely no performance issues to note. Works beautifully, A+ there. Price-wise, here's a little prediction. Its current low water mark of $22, 50% off, is going to be shattered this holiday season by either a 66 or 75% discount during the Steam sale, thanks in large part to the looming full release of the sequel, Divinity Original Sin 2. If my prediction turns out to be accurate, picking up this game for around 10 to 15 bucks is going to be some of the best money you ever spend, and I cannot recommend it enough. Just keep in mind that a game like this requires just a little bit of an attention span, and if you don't have one, you might want to look elsewhere. If you watch my videos regularly, you'll know that I'm a huge fan of the PC gaming platform because of this little thing we call choice. We have the largest library of games to choose from, and fortunately for the Shitbox, there are plenty of popular, healthy, affordable multiplayer games available among them. Rocket League, which stands as one of the most played in the world, is probably the best example. I will be honest, the footage you're seeing is single player because I didn't want to embarrass myself against real people. That said, I'd like you to take a moment to appreciate the sick fucking goals I managed to score in the 3 minutes that I played. Maybe I'm not as bad as I thought. If you want this game on the cheap, you can expect to see it for 40% off from time to time, having hit a historical low of about 13 bucks on Bundle Stars. It's also been bundled twice before on Humble, but given the healthy player base and continued success at retail, I wouldn't expect this game to get any serious price cuts until the well starts to dry up. The downside of successful multiplayer games is that they have a habit of retaining their value longer than the average indie single-player RPG nobody ever fucking hears about, but fortunately for Rocket League, it's well worth the asking price. Moving on, we have a lesser-known Unreal Engine 4 game called Mind Path to Thalamus, which happens to be one of my favorite first-person puzzlers alongside games like Antechamber and Portal. While it certainly lacks the story polish of the latter, the puzzle elements are on equal footing in my estimation, and the visuals are bloody stunning, if not strictly superior to every other game like this I've played. This is especially enjoyable if you happen to have a thing for surrealist art. Be warned, however, the voice acting in this game is atrocious. Performance was rock solid, though I did notice an interesting issue that's worth noting. When I went to the options menu, a supplementary FPS counter gave me a sample of what to expect in-game, but that sample turned out to be highly inaccurate, as the game performed better than the estimate would have you believe. That said, after running the game on Ultra for a while, it eventually hit a snag, dropping all the way down to a few frames per second. Only reverting the settings back to the high preset fixed the problem, allowing the game to run steady there on out. If Rocket League and Divinity Original Sin were a bit too rich for your blood, the fact that Mind has been bundled a grand total of 9 times to date should be a note of encouragement for all of you looking to fill your spare time super cheap. If you'd rather buy it by itself, I'd wait for it to descend to its historical low of $1.99 before pulling the trigger, or see if you can find someone to trade you a copy on the Indie Game Swap subreddit. Next up, we have a game that is set in my native Toronto called Soma. If you like first-person horror games like Amnesia and Alien Isolation, this is going to appeal to you, though the tone and theme of this game is much more high-minded. Yes, it has all sorts of shit jumping out at you moments, but it also feels like it was written by a philosophy major who married a psych major and had a comp sci major over for an orgy. Performance issues were non-existent, though I must say I was not impressed with the scene load times. Yes, my hard drive is old and slow, but not nearly so slow as to cause a 2-fucking-minute delay. Not sure exactly what the issue was, but considering other games of similar graphical fidelity loaded quicker, I would be inclined to blame the game rather than the shitbox. I could be wrong, who knows. Otherwise, the game runs beautifully on low and can even be cranked up to medium without much of a performance hit. Price-wise, you're looking at a historical low of about $13, but having appeared in the humble monthly bundle in September, that's a good sign that you're probably going to see discounts to come. While I wouldn't necessarily expect it to be bundled again anytime soon, I would certainly bet on a new historical low being achieved sometime over the holidays. And last but certainly not least, we have the main feature for this shitbox episode, and that is Skyrim Special Edition. First, let's get the obvious out of the way. This is one of the greatest RPGs ever made. 5 years after it was first released, it is still consistently placed within the top 20 on the Steam charts, and aside from a few technical blips and bloops, the special edition release does provide a nice graphical upgrade for people not willing or in a position to mod. Speaking of blips and bloops, the obvious performance issues associated with going over the game cap of 60 frames per second can indeed cause problems with the game physics, but that obviously isn't much of an issue for someone running the game on a system like this. In general, the game performs admirably on the shitbox, dipping into the mid-40s from time to time on low, but typically hovering around the 60 cap without much deviation. And let me say, despite what others in the community might have you believe, in the humble opinion of this reviewer, I really don't think the vanilla Skyrim graphics, especially here in the special edition, have aged all that poorly. It's not quite Witcher 3, but it ain't Oblivion either. As for price, the release of Skyrim Special Edition shot the bloody thing half the fuck up way to retail again, going for about $40 depending on your location. And no, contrary to what people have assumed prior, activating an old Skyrim key will not automatically give you special ed. This considered, it's hard to predict exactly when Skyrim Special Edition will go on sale and for how much, but I don't think the sales figures after the first few months are going to support keeping it at that premium price tag for long, given that millions of people were given the game for free if they own the original. If I were a betting man, I'd look for 33 to 50% off come Christmas 2016, and a bottoming out of about $10 or so by next summer. At which point, hopefully, we'll get word on Elder Scrolls 6. Maybe. So there you have it, folks. 5 more games that are perfectly playable on the shitbox, which I assembled for under $100. And if you're looking to do something similar yourself, this should give you a pretty good idea of whether or not you can do it. As for future news with the channel, I've got something big happening. I have created a Steam group, and I will be launching the Shitbox Curator very soon, which will be an official stamp of approval that the Shitbox gives to games that you can see directly on the store page, hopefully, if the Curator becomes popular enough and you guys all subscribe. This is intended to serve as a real-life, much more accurate substitute for the minimum specs that they list on the store page. So we'll see where it goes. If it's popular and it takes off, I'll keep it up. If not, I might just trash it. But I don't know. Depends how much work goes into being a curator. I can't imagine it's a lot. You just post your games and you describe why you... Anyway, so that's it for now. Follow me on Twitter at OFA, Reddit, OFA, social media, OFA. Just look for me. If you need me, you know where to find me. And if I feel like a rant, I'll put up another midweek video. And if not, I'll see you next weekend.